Hey there, I'm Richard Brandt, Monos Historian, and you're watching Stream It Now. For January, Shout Factory TV brings you a festival of exploitation favorites, plus some notorious big studio bombs, and even some actual cinema classics. First, from 1951, Bette Davis in the murder mystery Another Man's Poison. Roger Corman's idea of a big budget disaster flick, Rock Hudson, Robert Forster, and Mia Farrow star in Avalanche. From 1972, Leonard Nimoy is a psychic in the unsold TV pilot Baffled. Lana Clarkson and Kat Shea star in Hector Olvero's Barbarian Queen. Sid Haig and Pam Grier in the movie that launched the women in cages genre, Jack Hill's Big Doll House. From 1978, Robert Mitchum and Michael Winner's remake of The Big Sleep, which horrified purists by transplanting Raymond Chandler's Philip Marlowe to contemporary England, although at least it more or less followed the plot of the book. Don the Dragon Wilson in Blood Fist, Gregory Peck and Laurence Olivier in The Boys from Brazil, an O.J. Simpson double feature of Capricorn 1 and The Cassandra Crossing. In Cinematic Titanic, the original Satellite of Love crew takes on the Doomsday Machine and Frankenstein's Castle of Freaks. John Schneider stars in Hector Olvera's Cocaine Wars. Angela Lansbury in Neil Jordan's fantasy The Company of Wolves. Jonathan Demme's Crazy Mama starring Cloris Leachman. The Cremators, a low-budget 60s sci-fi flick based on Julian May's Dune Roller. From 1967, Richard Johnson is a Bond-era bulldog Drummond in Deadlier Than the Male, co-starring Elke Sommer and Silva Cosina. David Carradine and Claudia Jennings star in Death Sport. Rich Hill and Kat Shea in Sirio Santiago's revenge thriller The Destroyers. Gotta love the tagline from the poster. They sent him on a suicide mission. Now he's back. Peter Billingsley in the fantasy The Dirt Bike Kid. Gene Hackman and Candice Bergen in Stanley Kramer's political thriller The Domino Principle. Richard Norton and Robert Patrick in Sirio Santiago's Equalizer 2000. Elliot Gould, Telly Savalas, Roger Moore, and Sonny Bono in Escape to Athena. Sirio Santiago's Stewardesses Meet Kung Fu Killers movie, or at least that's what the poster promises, Fly Me. Roger Corman's Galaxy of Terror has a psychotronic dream cast including Aaron Moran, Zalman King, Robert Englund, and Sid Haig. The Russian superhero thriller Guardians, available subtitled or dubbed. A counterculture classic, Alan Arbus and Tony Basil in Robert Downey's biblical western Greaser's Palace. Kim Basinger and Jan Michael Vincent in David Green's Hard Country. Jack Palance and Patricia Quinn in the medieval fantasy Hawk the Slayer. Candace Rialson, Mary Warrenoff, Paul Bartel, and Dick Miller in Joe Dante and Alan Arkish's classic Hollywood Boulevard. Chad Everett and Michelle Johnson in Jag Mundra's The Jigsaw Murders. The classic rock documentary about The Who, The Kids Are All Right. Joseph Cotton and Rosalba Neri, alias Sarah Bay, in the uncut version of Mel Wells's Sleaze Fest, Lady Frankenstein, featuring effects work by a thinly disguised Carlo Rambaldi. Clinton Spilsbury in the notorious Hollywood flop, The Legend of the Lone Ranger. From 1977, Richard Chamberlain in Mike Newell's film of The Man in the Iron Mask. Also from 1977, Oliver Reed and Stuart Whitman in the lurid serial killer thriller Maniac, also known as Assault on Paradise, the movie that reminds you that Son of Sam would have been even more frightening if he'd worn a clown mask. Richard Burton in the Patrick knockoff The Medusa Touch. George C. Scott in Stanley Donen's delightful salute to old-time double features Movie. Brad Johnson and Vernon Wells in Sirio Santiago's Bikers Rescue POWs flick Nam Angels. The 1976 country exploitation flick Nashville Girl with Monica Gale. Joy Bang and Marlene Clark in Night of the Cobra Woman. Dennis Hopper and Curtis Harrington's Night Tide. Ellen Burstyn in Jack Hill's 1969 Pit Stop. Gregory Peck in the World War II drama The Purple Plane. Richard Jordan as Dirk Pitt in the notorious Hollywood flop adaptation of Clive Cussler's Raise the Titanic. The animated feature Red Sonja, Queen of Plagues. The first Finnish superhero movie, Rendell, Dark Vengeance, also available subtitled or dubbed. One of the better movies to be produced by Roger Corman, Peter Bogdanovich's St. Jack, starring Ben Gazzara and Denham Elliott. Anthony Quinn and Franco Nero in the political thriller The Salamander, adapted by Rod Serling. Kirk Douglas, Farrah Fawcett, and Harvey Keitel in the science fiction disaster Saturn III. Sirio Santiago's Lady Cop in Honolulu thriller Silk. The Sirio Santiago post-nuke classic with Lynn Holly Johnson, The Sisterhood. Amy Holden Jones's The Slumber Party Massacre, written by Rita Mae Brown, and also the rockabilly sequel, The Slumber Party Massacre 2. Jack Hill's Barbarian Twins epic Sorceress. Carol Frank's kind of derivative Sorority House Massacre, unless you don't have a problem with what is basically Halloween if it were set in a sorority house. Vince Edwards and Howard Cohen's Space Raiders. Kay Lenz in director Cat Shay's Stripped to Kill. Andrew Stevens directs Stella Stevens and R. Lee Ermey in The Terror Within 2. Elton John in the documentary To Russia with Elton. Brooke Adams in the maternal horror flick The Unborn. Look sharp for Kathy Griffin and Lisa Kudrow. And finally, Faye Dunaway, Orson Welles, and Laura Gemser in the Holocaust drama Voyage of the Damned.